Welcome, everybody, to a new episode of Yell It from the Mountain. This is season 4, and I'm very excited today to welcome my wonderful guest, Fatima York.
Thank you. Thank you. Hey, I am Fatima York, and I am a natural curly hair artist, educator, and activist. Lipstick. Bantu nuts. Going out. So I recently traveled to Ghana, and when I was there, I went to the market and I found some really beautiful combs. On the comb, it has a throne carved into it. Royalty and crown has a really important significance with the hair, especially Afro, and its history.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for being here. And we always begin with describing the setup for audio description. I'm wearing corduroy pants and jacket. It's mustard color. And I have a purple top, and my hair is, how would you describe my hair?
Butterfly faux locks.
The butterfly faux locks done by beautiful hair artist Fatima. And the hairstyle is by our wonderful hair and makeup artist Esther. And in the background, you see green walls and some lace curtains and books and a sideboard and a plant. Then there is a beautiful object here. We don't yet know what it is, but it's in a, I would say, African print. Is it kente? Mm-hmm. And we're sitting in dark green armchairs. Can you describe what you're wearing as well?
I'm not quite sure what the material is, but it's a spandex black long dress, very comfortable, with button down. Jewelry I bought when I was in Africa recently. It's brass and carved, as you can see. Yeah, my wooden earrings. It's an African symbol. Unity. It's from the States, and I have in my hair, we call this micro locks.
Fatima, I always ask my guests to introduce themselves. So please share with us who you are and what you do.
Sure. My name is Fatima York, and I am from Brooklyn, New York. I was born and raised there. I have been doing hair for over 30 years, and I'm 53 years old now. And I have been an educator, artist over the years, especially for the Black women in the States. It was always a big issue with hair. So this has been my journey all along until today.
We have some pop-up questions prepared. Let's go. If you could choose your dream, what would it be? What would you dream?
My dream would be to live in a natural environment with nature, land, just in a peaceful paint and just enjoy living.
That sounds great. What's the most amazing fact you know?
Well, I would say as you reach when you grow up and you become an adult and you get older, there comes a time where everyone, I believe, is faced with their truth, whether they accept it or not. And so whatever you do when you're young, it's very important to leave imprint that is as positive as you can, because it will catch up with you when you become older. You'll learn to recognize things, and either you're alone or you will be with community.
Wow. Okay. Like mental notes, this is deep stuff. Okay, right at the beginning. What carried you through tough times?
To change my mindset from thinking of tough times as something that is negative. And I always think as when I look at a child, when a baby is learning to walk, a baby's picking up its body, it's holding on to objects. And then when it lets go, when it takes its steps, it will fall. And if it falls, it may bump its head, it may bust its lips, it will have a wound. But with that wound, the next step the baby takes, it will be more careful in its moves. So nothing in life is really bad. We need discomfort in order to find our way through life. So I see it as all necessary. So when I have experiences that are uncomfortable, I see it as, okay, this is another lesson or something I need from it, because I never stay in a bad place. You never stay in a bad place. You'll always find a way out.
And I know you have had painful experiences. So Yelit has this 3 pillars. It's always about accessibility, about visibility, and about empowerment. How would you end the sentence? Empowerment is to me.
Empowerment is to me is to accept my truth and be in my truth, no matter what illusions comes through.
So take us back to little Fatima in Brooklyn. Tell us a little bit about how it was, like the environment that you grew up in, where you were raised, because I don't think we have a clue. And so, yeah, maybe give us a little bit of a picture how you grew up and what was that like?
Well, it will be probably surprising to you. I don't speak much about it, but I grew up in a commune. It would be, some people would say, a cult. And I was brought up Muslim, and I grew up with different from anyone I've ever met, because I came from a home where we did not have television and radios and anything that my parents felt would program us. It was more about, meditation and, being vegan since I was born, and we were very much into natural products and no chemicals in the hair, and even how we dressed, we had our own uniform. So it's a very different world. Coming into the world, that was a very interesting challenge for me, because it was very complete opposite of where I come from.
Around what age was that?
From birth until I was 18.
And then when did you find or discover your love of like learning and knowing about natural hair? You're one of the starters of the natural hair movement. We'll talk about that in a bit. But maybe you can tell us a little bit about how did you discover that, the knowledge, first of all, and then also the desire to educate.
So I would say at some point I finally had a TV, and I was about 18 when I first watched TV. And I remember watching, there was a commercial, and it was a beauty school commercial. And I saw how, in the commercial they were doing hair and makeup, and I was like, oh my God, whatever that is, I want to do that. I asked my brother to help me register to a school, and I went to school and I, learned how to do hair, but they didn't teach curly hair at all at the time. But I already grew up in a home where we had to do each other's hair all the way through growing up, After a few years working in a salon, and then my brothers are there in the music industry in the States, so I ended up working with a very prominent, very big artist, and I started to do their hair. And then one day I thought about it, and I was like, wow, this is watching those artists transition from their natural self, and then they started to change with, surgery, cutting, changing their face and bleaching the skin. And then I was just like, you know what? And I have a daughter at this time. And I said, this is not the path that I'm going to take. There's something I have to do about this. This was in 1998. I decided to stop doing, relaxers, and I became more educated on the chemicals that was harming the body, and even because I was already raised with this information. So it's kind of like I went back, and I felt a responsibility to my daughter because I did not want her to turn out to be that way, where she would try to change her skin and her hair and her body. I just started to work when in a salon. I said I decide I want to just do natural hair. And natural hair for me, it's not about only black hair. It's about just people who have nothing that changes the structure, but it's specifically towards curls. So it doesn't matter where you're from on earth, because curls has been abandoned, has been, and no one was interested back then at all. So I focused on doing natural hair and educating women, especially on how to care for their natural hair.
So at some point, you decided to move to Germany. Tell us about it. Like, why Berlin?
I would say there was a big problem in the States during the time I was working with Afro hair, because I'm from New York. In America, there's a lot of segregation between blacks and whites. We don't live in the same neighborhood. Like here, people mix. So I knew anytime I had clients, they're black. It's just a thing. And so I decided to move to Atlanta from New York, because Atlanta is what we call the Mecca for black hair. Atlanta is the Mecca for black anything, like, black business owners, universities, everything you can imagine that can be a representative of success in any way. And so I said, okay, the curly hair movement in New York is starting to grow. I want to move, for one, the weather. I want to move to Atlanta, and then, for whatever I do, I'm like, okay, this is going to be the perfect time. So it was 2001. I decided, okay, time to go to Atlanta. So I moved there, and it was no interest in curly hair at all back then in Atlanta. But Atlanta is the place where, you'll find the superficial, everything is dramatic, extra, And so it was difficult in the beginning because I was focused on that, and I was convincing people to do it. In 2005, I opened up my salon, natural hair salon, and that's when I started training people who were interested. And slowly people started to become interested until about 2010, I think. The way it really hit the fan, the curly hair movement, is when Chris Rock released that documentary. It's called Good Hair. You should watch it. Yeah. And what he said, the whole idea of the documentary was, my daughter wants a relaxer, and I don't understand why. Like, what is this obsession with black women and relaxers? He's like, you know what? I'm going to go on a journey, and I'm going to find out, get to the bottom of this. And so he interviewed a lot of different hairstylists. He went to different salons. He's asking questions, and you watch them in the chair doing the relaxer, and you'll see the little, the burning and the whole, and he's just like, I don't get it, And so what most important part about that documentary was when he went to this chemist, and he's this white guy chemist in the lab, and he's like, hey, dude, listen, take this relaxer and break it down and tell me what's in this chemical, because people are, obsessed with this thing. And he's like, sure, and so he started just doing his thing. And one thing he did was he took a can of Coca-Cola and sat it in the relaxer. And the next morning, he picked up the Coca-Cola can, and the half of it was dissolved in the relaxer. And he was like, yeah, you see, this chemical is very serious. It's very bad. And then Chris was like, yeah, this is what black women are putting in their hair to make it straight. And the chemist was so confused, like, what do you mean? He's like, yeah, this is, it's like in the beauty system, in the beauty market, yeah. He's like, oh my God, this is terrible, And then that's when people watching it was like, oh, wow, it's really bad. So a lot of black women were like, no wonder I have cysts in my breast. No wonder I have fibroids. No wonder, because they're trying to figure out why are Black women having the highest cases of these issues with their health. And imagine starting to put this chemical on your scalp, which absorbs into your body from age 5 till age 35, once a month, all those years. Calculate, do the number, the math. And so absorbing into your system once a month for years, and then you have no idea what your actual curl really looks like. There's a part of your body you don't know, because every time you're told this is ugly, this is inappropriate. So I worked with people, my clients who would come in and they were like, I want to do my hair natural, and then they would go to work and they would get fired because they will have a policy that says no spikes, no mullets, no mohawks, no braids, no dreadlocks, and no afro. And so you grow up and then your parents are like, you're not going to go to the university with your hair like this. Go to the salon and straighten your hair. So over the years, they're programmed to think that they're ugly, this is inappropriate. And then you see commercials with hair flowing and silky and shiny. And it's like, okay, I have to look like this in order to survive in this world, you know? That's when I was just like, this has got to stop. So that's when my activism kicked in. And I was just like, no, we need to fight this. And they would go to court and my clients will win the cases because like, you're firing her because she's late? No. Because she stole? No. Because of her hair. Okay, where's the logic in that? You know, is she doing a great job? Yes. Okay, so what's the problem? And so that's when we have something called the Crown Act that came out, because the Crown Act, it's about giving us rights, and still it's happening where they have to get permission for schools to allow people to wear their hair in locks or braids or, you know, in sports. And so we're still there. We're still fighting.
Yeah, not in every state of the United States that law has been passed. So
Exactly.
it's still ongoing fight.
Yeah, and we sign petitions. We have to keep signing these petitions in order for them to pass it, you know? So at some point, more and more people became natural. I trained a lot of stylists. They started opening salons. It was a few of us who were doing the same thing, you know? And then I was like, okay, everybody's good? Okay, now I need to go on vacation. It's been 10 years of this struggle. I have not lived my own life. And I was just like, I need to get out of here. Where do I go? And I'm thinking, okay, I would love to be in Africa, but I will not be able to survive on this with this business because they're not ready yet. And I'm like, Asia, it's different. I'm not going to find too many curls. I'm like, Europe? Okay, yes, I'll find curls. And then I was talking to a friend who lived in Berlin. She's American. I knew her since she was a little girl. And she's a comedian here, Tamika Campbell. We were talking, and she said, why don't you come to Berlin? And I was just like, yeah, the Nazi city, the country? Do you mean, you know, like but that's the ignorance when you don't travel, you know? And she's like, Fatima, seriously, there's Black people here, you know? There's people with curl, like, the movies always show Germans and they're very like stiff and they have blonde hair and they're very, just like you people here to say, oh my God, Atlanta, the hood? It's like, no, so go travel, you know? So that's when, I was just like, she's like, just come for vacation and check it out, but there's nobody here doing curls. I was like, okay. So my daughter was like, I'm coming too. So we both came here on vacation. We stayed for 3 months in the summer, never travel in the summer, and find a place to live. I was like, oh my God, this is nice. Girl.
The winter came.
What? And so we came here, and it was 2017.
Look at you.
Tamika was like, there's a woman, she's African American, she owns this shop. I'm gonna introduce you. And I met the people there, and I did a workshop on my vacation. And then that's when people came from all over, you know, all the curls. And I was like, but these are curls that I've never seen like before. Like, I mean, it's, again, I'm in Atlanta, so I'm getting like what we call 4C here, but more Afro hair, you know? But here, I'm just looking at curls, like her curls and his curls. And I'm like, this is like a whole spectrum of curls.
Yeah.
And everybody's standing there like, we don't know what to do. And I'm just like, oh my God, this is serious. This is not a Black issue. It's a universal issue, you know? And this is when my whole your whole mentality starts to change. And I was just like, you know what? I think this is the place.
Yeah.
And then I decided, I went back home, packed up, you know, because I already prepared to move, but I just didn't know when and where. And then I came here.
And I am, and I think many people here are very grateful that you're here. And so tell us a little bit about what you do, because you offer consultations, right?
Yeah.
So people come to you just so we have an idea what to imagine.
Yeah. So I have two different, how do I say? I work in two different fields of curls, industry of curls. So production is one, where I work with, you know, editorial, commercials, photo,
Film.
you know, film, because it's important for curls to look like what it should look like on camera. If it's an era in the 90s or in the 40s or it's important to tell that story, and the curls or the hair, it should play a part. Because it's been a struggle as well. People would just get their hair done by makeup artists, and they're just like, yeah. And then it's like, excuse me, I don't like my hair. This is not how it should look. And they're crying and, oh, you're being so difficult.
Yeah.
And it's like, no. I have an image to present to the world, and I want to be able to, you know, show myself. So I make sure that I get into that industry for that reason, like you on camera. And then most importantly, also for me, are the community, the people in the community. So I work with everyday people who they have, again, a mother or a father who's maybe white or Asian or of another ethnicity, and they have no clue. And then they have this child who's walking around with you know, knots in their hair because they don't know what to do. And so people come to me, and when I do my consultations, I'm very, very, very thorough. I want to know everything. Let me see, how much do you pour? How do you rub it? How do you apply it? How, you know,
What products do you use?
All of it. You know, educate them on products, educate them on, because like, for instance, in the product world, we have people who are making money, the capitalists. They have money to produce products, and then they put it out. And then you have hairstylists who are making products, who understand hair. And then you have chemists who are also, they understand to a certain degree, but they don't do hair. So for me, I have to break everything down and explain everything. So if you go shopping and you're like, what do I buy? You'll know, not this type of shampoo, this type of shampoo, you know? Or so yeah, I want to be able to educate so that once they come to me and have that consultation, they will never question anything. And for the rest of their life, they know what they need.
That's beautiful. Well, we have some pictures so you have an idea what this woman is capable of creating.
The artist
Because she
part.
is, she is an artist, as you will see shortly. Tell us a little bit about the Crowns project and specific projects where you do hair art.
Well, the hair art, well, this is for brands, a lot of it. So it's just showing the diversity of what our hair can do, because most people were never exposed to all that our hair can do. It's more like encouraging and inspiring, and to just see what can be done, you know, and to be able to embrace their hair, because it's so diverse. It can do so many things, and not just that one thing that society tells us it should do.
What were some of the reactions you received?
I think that is one of my favorite parts of what I do, is when I transform someone from what they're accustomed to seeing to what they didn't even imagine that can be done. So for the production crew, for instance, they're just like, wow, because again, they've never even can imagine that something like this can be done. So Also, the models are like, oh God, thank you so much. Finally, someone knows how to do my hair, and I know for sure I can just relax like the rest of the models or actors, or where they can just, have confidence in knowing that they will look good. And my clients, my everyday people, they're the most, it's the biggest part for me is them, because it's like a lot of them will come and they have like this big, afro, and it's like really dull and dry. And they're like, yeah, my hair, this is how my hair, and I don't know what to do. And I'm like, actually, this is your hair at its the highest stress level. And you're about to see what your real hair looks like. And so when I'm done, they're like, oh my God, this is my curls. This is oh, what? Like, I just love seeing that when I finish with them. So it's just the funnest part of what I do is the results.
And you told me it has a lot to do with giving particularly women, but I guess everybody confidence, because there's a lot of insecurity about hair.
Yes, yeah. I went to school before here. I studied psychology for about 2 years, and it was too much for me. I felt like it was not for me because I'm too sensitive. But it helped me a lot because I am still a therapist. People have traumatic stories. My mom took me to the shop around the corner and they said they can cut my curls, and then I look like, it's crazy, and they're crying. Some of them, a lot of women have cried in my chair about what they really feel, and they feel comfortable enough to be able to open up about it, because we always have to wear a mask in this world to just go through life. But when you have that moment, and I think hairstylists, we're underrated, because even when I'm on set and I work with actresses and people like that, we are the ones who spend the most time with the artist. I am always about helping people heal, and I've always been giving and loving and nurturing in that way. And the passion for justice all combined is where it brings me to this point.
I have one more question for you. It is our new category, community questions. This community question comes from an Afro-German actor that you know very well, from Jane Chirwa.
Aww.
And Jane is asking, what do you think it takes for Germany to have at least one Black person in the makeup hair department as soon as there is a Black person in the cast? Because, you can have a moment to think about it. Where this comes from is that a lot of Black actors here in Germany, and also a lot of, I would say, even curly hair, people with curly hair, are struggling in the film industry because they have to fight a fight every time. You have to every time argue. If you see a person has to deal with your hair who's not equipped to deal with your hair, then you have to ask the questions. You have to say, are you prepared? It's about time, it's about money, it's about knowledge. And when you make this a topic as the hired actor, then you be called difficult, and you be called a diva, and you be called like a lot of things.
Yeah. I would say most definitely. I think that everyone should be catered to. Everyone that has a special need of some sort should have, because, Black people as a whole, for instance, it's like we have a very big effect on the world when it comes to our culture, whether it be our language, our food, our music. It's a lot of people mimic a lot of things. And it's like, I find that people are always, they need us in whatever they're creating. They need us there to tell their story, but then they're not willing to accommodate, It's almost like, you're getting paid and that's it. But it's like, no. I need a specialist who can take care of my skin. I need a specialist who can take care of my hair, because this is a part of your story. Because by you telling your story without my input, if you want an audience, especially if you want an audience that are Black, we're not going to buy the story, because we know that when I see this hairstyle, it's like, is this 1970? Like, we know what's in, you know what I mean? And so I think a part of it is, especially people come to me and they have damaged hair. And it's like, they put this heat in my hair to make this style this way. And it's like, they have to be educated. Like, if you put heat on curls, it will damage the curl pattern. So these are the things that are important. So yes, I think I can't wait to the point where, it's not even a discussion. It's just like, okay. And it's not about a Black hairstylist or a Black makeup artist. It's about a specialist that knows how to work with special cases, which is all cases,
Yeah. Any questions in the audience? Yes, go ahead.
Hi. So I don't know if this is a myth or not, but since you work with hair a lot, especially, I mean, I don't know online, but there's a big debate whether shampoo is really worth it, or if you just go all natural. So as someone who's worked with hair a lot, is that true, or is, at least expensive shampoo worth it?
What I did learn from you is, and this is specific to different people's hair, I understand, is to use less shampoo for my hair. And then it's also important what kind of shampoo.
Okay, so another part of my consultation. Thank you for that. So what is your name?
Lucy.
Okay, so you see Lucy's hair, and what is your name?
Rosa.
Okay, so Lucy and Rosa have two different structures, right, of hair, curls. For instance, Lucy, she has to brush her hair every day. Do you brush your hair every day? Exactly. So with the different structures, with Lucy brushing her hair every day, the brush is moving her oils from the root down the shaft of her hair. How often do you shampoo?
Like once every 2 days.
Exactly. So in 3 days, she will have stringy, oily hair. With Rosa, how often do you shampoo?
Like once a week, maybe.
Exactly. And because Rosa does not brush her hair every day, the oils is sitting in the scalp, and she has color on her ends, and that's adding to the dryness. How do you get her oils from root down to the shaft of her hair? So she shampoos once a week, but I recommend shampooing once a week, and then the second week you condition your hair so you don't strip the oils, where she would never do that. And so with her brushing her hair with the conditioner, she's now moving the oils down to the shaft, down the shaft of her hair, with conditioning, moisturizing, hydrating, and replenishing shampoo, versus a clarifying shampoo more than likely would be used when you have more oily hair to strip the oils from building up. So this is why it's important to understand the different, social media is so much, it's just saturated with information because we didn't have a lot of information. And so people are experimenting, and then they're sharing their experiences. And if you have beautiful big hair because God blessed you, then you are the gospel at this point.
Hi.
Hello.
I wanted to ask that if you could shed light on the journey or struggle of Muslim women who always cover their head or wear hijab. How does that affect their hair, especially if they have curly?
Very, very good question. So I used to wear hijab. Until I was about 18. And what I have noticed is that the scalp and hair needs air and sun. It's a part of nature. And so I found that a lot of Muslim women that I encountered would have issues with the hair condition being so dry, the scalp being dry. And so I recommend, like, as soon as they are home, just take it off, Same thing with women who wear wigs, take it off, because a big part of the issue is that the pores is not breathing. you know. And so I think that they should be able to do the same thing that we all do, treatments, you know, shampoo, condition, the regular thing, but make sure that they allow their hair to breathing time and for it to balance everything for them. Have you noticed that there's been issues? Do you know of any women that have issues with their hair?
No,
in
I'm
the
not
hijab?
sure. I
Yeah.
was just curious
Yeah.
because I'm from Pakistan. I'm
Okay.
from the Muslim community, so I was just wanted to know.
Yeah, well, that's good. Yeah, you can share that tip. Like, as soon as they go into a private space, just remove the hijab so they can allow their hair breathing time. Yeah,
Thank
you're welcome.
I wondered what the longest kind of time you've spent with an actor when you were preparing their hair, or what's the sort of longest session that you've had?
Well, I would say in my industry, people who are professionals that can do the things, the styles I do and stuff, they're like, oh my God, you're like really fast. I'm very, very fast in my styles. But if it's like a film where it's a storytelling, you know, something, sometimes I have to make the hair pieces prior to coming on set. So it's not so much as the person in my chair sometimes where I spend so much time, but the preparation, that can take a week before. And then if I was on set, I would say maybe about an hour. But that's unrealistic, and you know, most times it takes a lot longer, but about an hour or so, yeah.
If I may add, is like, I think sometimes if there would be enough knowledge around it, they would give information in time. So
Yeah.
you can prepare and you can only use an hour, because some hairstyles, if you don't have the knowledge of, you know, they think you can do certain things on the spot, or like
Yeah.
I often get calls from colleagues or messages of issues that they have. Doesn't matter at theater or on set, or it happened to myself where people have this idea of what I could do with my hair. And I'm like, this is possible, but we need to plan for it. Like, I either have to go to a store, I have to buy hair, I have like all these things, but they just have a picture and they're like, just do it. You need 2 hours. And I'm like, no, I have to order the hair. I have to see if they have that hair, specific hair. I have to find a person, because Fatima is one person and I don't know if she's available. And then if I'm in a different city, I have to find a person who can do it, and I don't have a network in that city, and so on. And I think it's, if it would have thought about that, like we have a Black actor in this cast, it doesn't matter if it's theater or if it's film, at the time when they plan for, I don't know, the set and everything, then it would be easy. But sometimes I feel like a lot of the times we're put on the spot, and what happens is that, for instance, in theater, there's a timing, right? And so they're planned for people to get beautiful wigs and all kinds of hairstyles, and they get like the wave, and it takes 1 or 2 hours, but there's nobody there to do our hair. So then they say to us, "Oh, it's fine.
Yeah.
Just go like that." And I'm like, I'm not a hair artist. So if I go like that, it maybe looks good today, but more tomorrow it will look like I just woke up from bed, and you will be probably disappointed. And then on top of it, on stage, the others look like they are like a
Beautiful,
person
like,
from the
perfect,
70s,
yeah.
but I look like a fro from today,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm like, but I want to look like I'm from the 70s too. I'm in the same time, you know? And that is friction all the time. And it gives me anxiety sometimes, because I was like, I have to call now the director and maybe the makeup artist and all them, and I have to take care of all of this while my colleagues are learning their lines, which I would need to do.
Yeah.
So that is the frustration a lot of the times, and sometimes I would say this frustration is also passed on to the hair and makeup department, because they have even less time and they just have to make it perfect quickly. They have to fix the problem. And so it's a lot to juggle. So I just wanted to add that. Because there's so many layers with this disinformation and lack of information.
So I would say the average time for an average person, the stylist, it can be 2 hours or so, you know. And so with black hair, for instance, we have a lot more things that's added to what our everyday look. Extensions, like Benita, she has in her hair
You
now.
did that really fast.
This is a part of our culture that we not only wear our own hair, but we also play around with different looks. So if you see those cornrows, but you know, that's the long ones, that's people might think that's their hair, and it's like, no, it requires going to the store or ordering online and getting this hair, and then it takes maybe 2 hours to put in. But if this is what you want for your, you know, then you have to give us that time. But on production sets, it's like, for your hair, it might take 15 minutes to 30 minutes, and everybody's like, okay, how long more? How long more? And then it's like, you wanted this look, that you have to consider the time that it takes for this look so you can get the look that you want, you know. So this is a struggle that we're still having, and I think it's important for education again, because that has to change, you know. You said it so perfectly, yeah.
Last question from Lisa.
Hi.
Hey.
I was wondering, is there a network of makeup artists and hairstylists that are trained in handling the curly hair? And do you also like teach professionals? Special
Good
skills?
question. Good, I appreciate that question.
This was also Jane's question. What do you think of black-owned hair and makeup schools?
Yes, okay.
So that just goes well together. So I don't know.
Okay, so I would say, right now we're in the beginning stages, because I am a hair specialist, meaning I went to school for hair, and I also taught at a school for hair, which is curls. And in Germany, though at least Berlin, still are not. So it's a little tricky, because you have hair artists and then you have hair professionals who went to school. And people who went to school did not learn curls. And hair artists are good with extensions and those looks that you see on social media. So with what I do, meaning, you know, if I have, like, I see a few curls in here, if they're coming to me to cut their hair, I'm the only one doing it really in Berlin that knows everything that I know. And so I'm in the process of making a tour around Berlin first. And I've decided in the near future, I wanted to allow the younger generation to be the hairstylists and own salons, and because I've done that already. I want to go and teach the salons how to do curls, because they already have the basic knowledge. They just need a little tweaking, you know, because I am exhausted. It's not enough people doing it. And also the people who would like to, it's an issue now with, there are people that are not interested in going to school to learn how to take care of straight hair. They just don't have any interest. But the system, the German system is, you have to go through their school for 3 years to learn, or to get a Meister, for instance. And you're not allowed to shampoo hair, you're not allowed to cut hair without a Meister. And so it's kind of like this weird place. So I'm working on getting certified so that I can get a special certificate to certify people who only want to work on natural curly hair. Because in the States, we have certification only for curly hair. And so you don't learn the chemicals. You don't learn about how to straighten and all of that. You only learn how to take care of this particular hair. And so that is in the making right now. And like I said, between that and I'm waiting on getting to the certificate so that I can go to these salons and say, hey, okay, here's the information. You now have a certificate that says by law that you're, allowed to do it. So right now, the people who they don't have the certificate, they only can work and do extensions and wigs and weaves, that kind of stuff, which is what we're really trying to get away from,
Well, we are slowly coming to the end of this conversation. I have to say to you all, there's so much more. There's so much more that we could talk about with Fatima. Fatima is, you see her artistry, I think, in the hairstyles, but she's also an incredible painter. So when I come over to her place and she does my hair, then I see these beautiful paintings, and I think soon there will be a birthing place of that. So keep your eyes peeled of like an exhibition, but that's another superpower. So she's like multi-talented. But now this is the time, and you might think I forgot the object, but I did not. The object is incorporated with what Fatima wants to yell in the end. So therefore, I just want to say thank you at this point for being here. And I'm grateful that we're again at Met Film School Berlin. We had beautiful audience questions. Thank you for your participation. Thank you for the entire team behind the camera, the sound, the whole editing team, everybody who's here. Thank you for being here, Fatima. And last but not least, I'm asking you to reveal your object and also yell with us or tell us whatever you want to leave us with.
Sure. So like I said, I traveled to Africa recently, and I like to collect combs. And so when I saw this at the market, there are different styles and designs of combs, bigger ones all the way to small ones. And I'm up to like 7. But this one was special to me because, for one, people in the ancient times would take wood and carve it so they can comb their hair with, and we're still doing it today. But this symbol represents a throne. And to me, it's very special because the crown, the word crown, if you look it up in a dictionary, it also, scientifically, it means this part of the head. So every part of the head has a name, and that is the name. And so to me, it's also, as you see in my hair art, it's about, empowering yourself. And it's the head. The head is what you create with. The head is where you dream. The head is where you think. And to damage the mind, the head, it can affect the rest of the body. And so for me, it was very important to share this with you all today, and to say that, just whatever is going through your mind or your thoughts, or just, be aware that nothing stays the same. And so even at most difficult times, it will always be something new, or a new moment in life. And this, especially for my sisters, it's kind of like I'm honoring them for all the struggles we went through. And for me to live through witnessing the beginning, when we had a very difficult time with our hair, it's our bodies, and then to be here today, and to be here to sit with you, the next generation, and to be able to share the stories. So I appreciate you all for that.